Unfortunately, this story is happening every day all over the United States. And so it could easily have just been anywhere. Jared particularly thought that the story needed to be told here in Memphis. And we are setting it in Memphis. There will be elements on the stage that you may recognize as Memphis.
Hi, I'm Waverly Strickland, she, her pronouns, and I am the costume designer for Passover. When I first get into a show, I read the show cold, and so that way, the first time I'm reading it for enjoyment. And then once I start to get into the script more, it's really about figuring out who these people are, what their background is. Clothing for a character is really more of what's in their closet. What are they wearing every day? What are the activities they're doing? Something that tells you a little more about them. For me, I always try to make sure that my costume design supports the character the actor is creating, something that will hopefully help them get ready to be that character on stage. Essential elements to a costume. I think it's not just about the clothing. Sure, you have the different items of clothing, but it's too about how they're wearing that clothing, how they are accessorizing that clothing. Do they wear jewelry? What kind of shoes do they wear? How scuffed up is their clothing? Is it cleanly fresh pressed from the dry cleaners, or have they been working in that and sweating in that all day? Those little details, I think, are what kind of create the character.
All right, my name is Chris Sterling, he, him, his, and I'm scenic designer for Passover by Antoinette Nwandu. Well, during the process of scenic design, of course, you have to read the play several times. I'm looking to create the best environment I can to aid the actors and the director in telling the story. It's kind of minimal, and I've done some minimalistic sets before. This show, it's been said more than once that it's similar to Waiting for Godot. And Godot, of course, is set on a country road, a lone tree. This is set on a city sidewalk with a lamppost or a street light. And these two individuals are living on the street with hopes of moving on, getting away from their experience. So it's different in a way that I needed to investigate the script, of course, and read the script and see what their motivations are, but particularly in talking with Jared, the director, to get his vision. And so we had a design on hand, and I presented the design. He said, oh, he felt comfortable with it. And so we felt like we were going to be going with that. And then prior to our first production meeting, which was like the week before, he called me and said, you know, there's one element in that design. And I said, I have felt the same way. And so it's been very good for us to collaborate, and it changed kind of the direction, the look of the whole thing. And then, so I sat down with my pencil and paper and came up with a new design for him that we're all very excited about.
I have loved working with Jared. He's wonderful. And just going into that first design meeting, him talking about he wants this script to be local, set in Memphis, really focus on, it's not this far away story, it's this story that is close and personal to many people, and happens here right in Memphis all the time. We've had some wonderful discussions, and he wants this to be a very collaborative process. I think one of my favorite things that has come out of our discussions is this idea that for Kitch and Moses, this is clothing, everyday wear. Whereas for Mr. and Ossifer, that they are putting on a costume, they are putting on a mask. And kind of that difference between authenticity and the costume that you put on daily.
In every meeting before we start, even last night in the read-through, Jared, the first thing out of his mouth was how collaboration is so important in this show. Unfortunately, this story is happening every day all over the United States. and unfortunately, primarily the United States. And so it could easily have just been anywhere. And Jared particularly thought that the story needed to be told here in Memphis.
I think this production is very good at making people talk about it afterwards. Again, me and Jared have had great discussions, and just sitting in the read-through, I got different impressions, and I'm hoping that audiences see this story, and for some it will be a foreign feeling, and for others it will be something that's very familiar. And I hope that it can get people to think about things more and have conversations and try to just connect with other people.
Are you part of the problem? Are you part of the solution? And even one of the characters in the play, you think perhaps he's part of the solution, and it turns out he's part of the problem. So are you going to walk away from this play and go, oh, well, that's so sad, but it doesn't happen here. But it's happening everywhere.